class. This week we're going to be doing a surface map and learning how to analyze it. Now the first step in doing this is learning how to read a surface observation, learning what it looks like and what all the numbers mean. I would like for you to download the file that I've put in our classroom labeled Metar key. Now once you print it out, it looks like this. Now first, how do we get this information? Well, there are what we call AWOS, an automated weather observation system. And these instruments are located across the country. There's probably 300 or 400 of them. There are a lot of them. A lot of times they're located at an airport because there's no big buildings around and it can get a good look of the sky. There's nothing obscuring its view, basically. Now, the observations are read usually on the hour. So we can download a map that has the observations from all the different AWOSs in a different region. So first let's look at this Metar key and learn how to read it. Alright, it looks like this. Notice there's lots of numbers, they're close together. It can get a little confusing, so we want to look at just one first and learn what each of these numbers mean. First, the number in the upper left, here it's an 88, that's the air temperature. Easy enough. The number in the lower left is the dew point. And obviously that's going to tell us how much moisture is in the air. The higher the number, the more the moisture. There is a 3-letter code right here, and that tells us the location of this observation. Here is DEN, and that stands for Denver. Some of these codes are going to be pretty obvious. Others are going to be 3 letters that you really can't tell just by looking at it what airport it came from. But anyway, that's what that means. Here is a little symbol. This particular one is represents a thunderstorm. There is a 1/2 beside it. And when this observation was taken, there was 1/2 mile visibility. On a good day, when there is no obstruction of visibility, that is usually about 10 miles, you won't see a 10 there. There just won't be anything. Only when we have low visibility will they put something there. Now back to this thunderstorm symbol. There are a lot of other different symbols that could be there, or there may not be anything at all if it's a calm, clear day. The circle in the middle, that indicates, one, the location of when it's on the map. It shows us where that observation was taken. Notice that this one is filled in 3/4 of the way. That tells us that the sky has 3/4 cloud coverage. Now it could be filled all the way in if it's overcast. It could be just an open circle, which that means that there are clear skies. But the fraction that it's shaded in represents how much clouds there are. All right, now let's look at this 005. That is the atmospheric pressure. And that one takes a little more getting used to. Now, in front of this number, we have to fill in either a 10 or a 9. And imagine a decimal in between this 0 and 5. So there's a decimal missing and either a 9 or a 10 in front of it. You want to add either a 9 or 10, whichever makes this number closer to 1,000. Since we have 005, what that represents is 1,000 millibars, 0.5. It's registered in millibars, and again, there's a decimal there. If you will recall, standard atmospheric pressure is 1,012 millibars. So that kind of gives you a reference to tell us if we're under high pressure or low pressure. Even in a hurricane, pressures don't get near 900, so that's why we are able to say whichever gives you closer to 1,000. Now let's move on to winds. This little line right here will tell us the wind direction. Now imagine this is an arrow flying into the circle, and these will be like the little feathers of the arrow as it's flying in. Because it's coming from this way, that's telling us the winds are coming from the south. If it had rotated up this way, the winds would be coming from this direction. On this particular arrow, we have one barb. Imagine those are the feathers on the arrow, and this represents 10 knots of wind. If we had two of these lines, that would tell us 20 knots of wind. So the more lines there are, you just add them together. Now, if there are no winds at all, if it's calm, you're just going to have that circle around it, and there will be no line or no arrows. All right, I think that covers everything on here. I want you to kind of look at this, and when you print out a surface map, which I'll help you with that, you'll notice that once you get a whole bunch of these on a map, they start overlapping, and it gets very difficult to read. So that's why I want you to practice being able to understand what these numbers represent when you can see just one at a time. All right, so next you're going to download the file, the surface map that I have for you, and in the next video we'll work on it together, and I'll show you how to analyze it.